You're watching Football Daily, and today we're counting down 50 of the worst haircuts in football history. Let's kick it off with a few members of the infamous cornrow crew, and first up is West Ham's danger man, Andy Carroll. Quite what he was thinking remains a mystery to this day. He's not the only guilty party though, is he, David Beckham? Yes, you might be the world's most famous man, but that's no excuse for a haircut as crap as this. The third member to sport a cornrow catastrophe is Abel Xavier. The former Liverpool man decided to go blonde for this particular shambles.
You were literally too stupid to insult.
Xavier's not our only blonde bombshell though. Rio Ferdinand couldn't help himself either and decided to go for the dyed-haired look. It didn't quite come off. One particularly unforgettable coloured calamity was donned by the biggest idiot in world football, El Hadj Diouf, who whilst at Rangers sported a matching blue mohawk.
I think you are scum.
From blue to red, and we find Joe Cole, who appears to have nicked Clifford the Big Red Dog's tail and wrapped it round his head. What an absolute stinker. But don't fret, Joseph, that's not the only crime against the eyes, is it, Freddie Ljungberg? Mind you, with a barnet like that, it's no wonder Arsene Wenger managed to spot you playing in the Swedish Premier League. He isn't the only Gooner legend to make this list though, indeed Cesc Fabregas's shambolic mullet and David Seaman's perverted ponytail both make our top 52. But the true Gunner Hairstyle Cock-Up Award simply has to go to the nine-head himself, Gervinho. Come on mate, it's time, you really just need to shave that off. He's not the only African with a shit lid though. Step forward to Rebo West. Quite what he asked for when going to his local barbers still remains a mystery. I'll have a short on the sides please and neon green braids on the top. Come on. From Nigeria to Morocco, we stumble across the curious case of Marouane Chamakh and have one simple message.
Your hairpiece looks like something that was killed crossing the highway. I don't know whether to comb it or scrape it out with a shovel and bury it alive.
One man who at least had the good grace to realise he was losing his hair was Wayne Rooney. This photo was taken pre-op, and good God was he a mess.
Shut up and sit down, you big bald f***.
Did the surgery help? Well, not really, Wayne. Not really. Wazza might have lost some hair, but whatever he lost, Marouane Fellaini seems to have gained. Would someone tell him he looks more like an X Factor microphone with every passing game, please?
And you look like a pop star.
Let's leave England now and head to Spain. Our first contender is Sergio Ramos, who has sported all manner of shambolic styles, from these greased-down tentacles to one lid brighter than the sun itself. Not to be outdone though, Barcelona also boast their fair share of haircut catastrophes. Take for instance Dani Alves's island. Even Bear Grylls would say, "F*** off, am I staying on that one?" Alves is well backed up by a legend of the game though. Yes, even Andres Iniesta tried his hand at ruining his own lid. I mean, if you're going to cut it yourself, don't wear a blindfold whilst doing it, Andres. Jesus. Being the giant clubs they are though, they'll often spot talent with crap haircuts from a young age. I mean, it's easy to imagine Florentino Perez getting very excited when he saw Cristiano Ronaldo's spaghetti locks. Likewise, the Barcelona board must have been rubbing their hands with glee at the prospect of signing Neymar's braided mullet with shade sides and a spiked top. Where Spain are growing a culture of embarrassing styles though, Italy lead the way in world football with a number of iconically embarrassing barnets. Take for example Roberto Baggio. Yep, we've got absolutely no idea what he was thinking either. The same goes for Palacio. Just shave that f***er off, mate.
You imbecile, you bloated idiot!
They're not the only culprits though, just ask Stefan El Shaarawy. It's easy to imagine the Italian showing a photo of a cockatoo to the hairdresser and saying, "I'll have that please." It gets worse for Serie A though, with Napoli's Argentine disaster story Marek Hamsik, who for the last 7 seasons has sported the same mess of a mohawk. Time for a change maybe, Marek? Next up is an interesting tale. I mean, everyone knows the story of Maxi Lopez's wife leaving him for his best friend Mauro Icardi, right? Well, Maxi, I think we figured out why she left.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
The final jewel in the Italians' crown is Mario Balotelli. He's literally had too many horror stories to list, but our favourite still has to be the chessboard. Checkmate. Let's head back to England now and touch upon some more multicoloured classics. Yep, I'm talking about Wigan's Paul Sharner, who looked on numerous occasions like he'd let a toddler draw on his head. Where did he even get those colour schemes from? We can ask the same question of Samir Nasri. I mean, who goes from bleached blonde to neon blue?
When they bleached your hair, they must have bleached your brains too.
A dodgy haircut is not all about the colour though. Just ask Raheem Sterling, who decided he was going to show up to training looking like he'd borrowed Kevin Keegan's perm and mixed it with John Barnes' bald sides. Just why, Raheem? Talking of Big Keegan, English football legends appear to be the source of dodgy haircuts. The most iconic of those simply has to be Jason Lee's pineapple. What on earth were you thinking, Jason? Honestly. In fact, from the Chris Waddle mullet to the Paul Gascoigne ponytail, from Rodney Fern's mad scientist to Jerry Francis's grey-haired monstrosity, it's pretty clear to see English football has a long history of diabolical haircuts. However, the problem seems to have not only affected the national team, but is now rife in the Premier League too. Take for example Nicholas Bentner and his top knot, or David James's myriad of shocking do's. English football fans have literally seen it all. The most comical of all though simply has to be Jose Bosingwa. We're not even talking about the hair on his head here, we're talking about that slug of a monobrow. Would someone please tell him to shave it off? Some Barnets though are just so big they become a problem of their own. The likes of Benoit Asuakotu and David Sideshow Bob Louise have all struggled to control the frizz. One man who attempted to mask his excessively massive hair was Carlos Valderrama, but no matter how many colours he tried, it just never quite worked out. Sticking in South America, let's all take a moment to remember the great Ronaldo, and that piece of fringe he called a haircut at the 2002 World Cup. It's lucky he was so good at football. Finally though, we simply had to mention Simeone. No, not Diego, his son Giovanni, who shaved his head after losing a bet. That is a monstrosity.
So those were our 50 worst haircuts. I know what you're thinking. What can you do? If you enjoyed this video, why don't you head over to Eurofootball Daily and check out our top 10 Eredivisie players this season. It's a cracker. And as always guys, please do like and subscribe.